thank you to all of those who are taking their time out of opening Sunday of football season to watch this video. And if you're watching it at a later date, still, thank you guys. So I wanted to bring to you another deck profile deck that I've been kind of messing around with. Do I think that this list is perfect? No, maybe it needs more time and testing to really call it that, I would say. But it's actually been doing pretty sneakily well in best of ones, just grinding it out on Lorcanito for a bit in between testing decks that I plan to actually play at events such as, lo and behold, Blurple. But it's been a lot of fun. I'll talk about kind of choices, things like that. I'd love to bring you guys more text, cards, ratios, commons, all that good stuff, except no one's really playing this deck, so it's kind of hard to do that. It feels like it's me, myself, and Irene doing it all, but we will have other deck profiles for you guys where we break down the most common played cards, the tech cards, the deck cores, updated lists, talk about all that good stuff with the more meta relevant decks as you will. But without further ado, King Candy's Land, King's Candy Land, King Candy Land, Candy Crush You, whatever. I don't know what I wanted to call the deck, so I just went with King Candy Land. And it's a blue deck, so you know we're ramping hard. It's blue-red, and we're actually going to ramp really hard. Maybe All Is Found ends up finding its way into the deck. I'm not entirely sure. So naturally, when you're building a deck in this current format, you have to be able to put out board presence semi-early to deal with quicker decks, such as Purple Steel Tempo. But you also have to be able to deal with like the strong mid-game push and big characters from like a Blue Steel Allies deck. And then obviously the bully of the format is Blurple, and you have to be able to deal with a lot of their evasives and things like that. So just trying to tech in and play the deck in all those regards. Having answers for things while not just getting out-resourced completely, because I think that's the biggest kicker here is losing things like How Far I'll Go hurts so bad because it's ramp and consistency. Grammatala's consistency in a body. Like, the deck lost some pretty big tools. The Popsicle, obviously, with Tamatoa's. That was a big loss for the deck, too. So in the one-drop spot, I went with King Candy and with Developer Brain, because with building the deck, I'm like, okay, card draw consistency, what are we going to do? Obviously, Develop and Vision were just two auto-includes at 4-ofs. On turn 2, probably the most important turn of the majority of your Sapphire decks, and that's going to be 4 Tipo, 4 Sail, because you really want to hit that ramp. Sail also being able to draw you a card isn't necessarily a bad thing, especially late game when you just need to draw a card. So having that turn 2 ramp with also a little consistency from the Sail gives us 12 kind of consistency cards. None of them are really generate you a bunch of advantage cards, however. They're more just replace themselves style effects, which isn't the worst, but we got to kind of take what we can get here. So looking into other ways to speed the deck up, make the deck more consistent, things like that. So Kita and Donald, just really trying to ramp heavy, ramp into your top end, which you can see on the screen. We'll talk about it when we get there. Kita, though, can kind of help the consistency aspect because she gets to look at the top 2 cards. If one's bad, you put it in your ink. If you're stuck on, say, like Hades and Maleficence in your hand, and you have an inkable, uninkable card, you put the uninkable card into your inkwell, and then you draw the inkable card, you ink it for turn. You know you can just kind of ramp up into your top end a little bit quicker that way. Donald inking off the top of the deck, also keeping your hand resources up a little bit higher, so valuing him pretty good. Obviously, Kita also off the top of the deck, so instead of like a Tipo effect, we're going off the top of the deck as opposed to out of our hand once we get out of that turn 2 slot. Some niche draw engine that the deck has is King Candy. It allows you to draw 2 cards and then put a card from your hand on the bottom of your deck, which is a really good way to filter through like extra Tipos, extra Little Kings, bad cards essentially that you don't need in your hand anymore. He works really well to do that. And then your Robin Hood Archer, if your opponent has more cards in their hand when you play him, you get to draw a card. So once again, just kind of niche card draws, niche little things to help you get around your opponent and play and just keep your hand size up to a degree. As far as play lines, I guess we'll talk about that shortly. Like I said, evasives. So we kind of covered the consistency, the ramp, the the replacing themselves like that. We got obviously the 4 ramp cards. Then, like I said, the Robin Hoods, your pretty much all your actions outside of the Pirate's Life, your King Candy, Kita, also to a degree helping the consistency. Really, I thought about Eye to Eye as just in like a power line package even. But in testing, power line just kind of fell flat, and Eye to Eye being a slower deck, when you give your opponent 2 cards and 2 lore, like in that mid game, it wasn't working very well. So unfortunately, we took that package out. Dinner Bell was and still is a card that I was strongly considering, being able to get a decent bit of draw off of that card. So Dinner Bell was another potential draw engine card that I had considered for the deck. Just Uninkables kind of being higher at the moment, and wanting like the utility. Like the old versions of this deck, you won by slapping manners down and then like B prep control once you get into that late game. We don't have prep and we don't have manner. So what type of win conditions does this deck have? And I think in that manner slot, it's a 4-cost card, gets you 2 lore. The Scrooge McDuck kind of naturally fits right into there. Again, it's not quite as good as the manner prep, but at the same time, we don't have that big board wipe, so Scrooge McDuck actually does put in a decent bit of work. So he's in there as one of your closing engine cards. Pirate's Life still, especially with the Maui Half Shark, being able to get your actions back, just play a bunch of them. Just like last format, your Robin Hood's questing for 2, your Donald's questing for 2, King Candy's questing for 2. A lot of these cards kind of helping you just close out games. And then obviously you want to ramp hard, get to that big late game. You kind of saw it in the thumbnail. I hit a game where I dropped 3 straight Maleficents and then a Hades on an opponent because it's just like boom, boom, boom. They were all in my hand. I got to 9 ink. I'm like, okay, I got control of this game. It was against Purple Steel. I was like, he's going to get really close to potentially winning, which actually he didn't get that close because I was able to just control the matchup really, really well. Verse, Blurple, and Evasives. So you have Moana on turn 3. She's a fantastic answer. She'll take out a Dumbo. She'll take out a Genie. Obviously, Genie's better because she survives it. But she does take out a Dumbo pretty cleanly. Something I guess I considered playing was Basil, just so she could take out like an Elsa. But at the same time, she takes out the 2 more important ones. And outside of that, we also have the Goofy on 6, who's a 5/5 with Rush and Evasive, who can come in and just take out Genies, takes out pretty much anything outside of TikTok and Iago, he can come in and take out. And then the Robin Hood Archer also gets evasive on your turn. So that's another answer for evasives. And obviously Half Shark is evasive. So we're playing 14 evasive cards essentially, in addition to 4 Hades, 4 Maleficents. So the deck's actually, like I said, been performing pretty decent. I'm probably going to start messing around with it a little bit on best of 3s as well. I like to kind of see how I can do on best of 3 with like Blurple, my deck essentially, and then use best of 1s to just really test out a bunch of decks. However, the new ranking system on Lorcanito is 100% based off of total wins, so it really rewards someone who can sit down and just grind out a bunch of games. I kind of like the old ranking system more, I'm not going to lie. I think it was more rewarding to perform well, whereas now it's just more rewarding to play a lot. So maybe I guess it doesn't matter too much if I just take these decks into best of 3, because people don't see my percentage anymore, but I still see it. I don't want to just tank my percentage, I guess, testing out some janky ideas for you guys. But overall, I think the deck's got potential. I think that it in a vacuum, it has a lot of toolbox. It has consistency cards. It has removal. It has evasive answers. It has early push, mid, late pushes. It's lacking that consistency, because just to keep that hand size, like I said, King Candy works out nice. It's like the only true plus of the deck. But then you have your develops, your visions, your sales, trying to get to that late game, just to play the late game battle into like Blurple, Purple Steel. Definitely can be won. I'm not going to say it's favorable, because if it were favorable, more people would probably be playing it and it would do better. But I think that it has the tools, and if you see them in the right order and sequencing, you can definitely get some wins against these top tier meta decks. And with a little more people trying out these ideas, a little more people tweaking and testing things like, hey, have you tried this or this? Do you want to do this? By all means, let me know down in the comments what you're thinking. Do you guys like the power line package? Like, I tried it. I really, really did. And trying to pair it up like the power line shark, whatever people are trying to call it. I don't think it was it. I don't think it was working very well, and I ended up going away from it pretty quickly. But overall, like I said, I think that it has good potential to be a tier 2 deck. I think right now, this is in my top 10 decks for the format. Being said, I think there's a pretty sizable gap after 1 and 2 for 3, 4, 5, and then there's another little drop off before you hit like 6 through 8, and then 9 and 10 even are noticeably below all that. But I do have it as one of my top 10 decks of the format so far. But let me know what you guys think. Getting closer to that 6,000 subscriber giveaway. Like, share, subscribe, comment down below. Thank you guys for watching, and take care.